We were joined today on the Sport for Business Daily by Lorna Danaher, the sponsorship manager with Energia. We wanted to go behind the curtain of Energia's partnership with Irish Rugby across three different strands: the All-Ireland League, Energia Park in Donnybrook, and indeed as the power behind Irish Rugby with the IRFU. It was an interesting conversation. We spoke about the challenges that came about through COVID, the plans that are being put in place for the coming 12 months, and the way that the brand worked with agencies to make the best of what they had available as their assets through the sport.
We just have to be, proactive where we can in terms of planning, because, you have to have a plan when you sit down at the beginning of the year, but also be very aware that that plan might not go to plan and you have to be able to kind of scramble. Again, some of our activation plans haven't gone our way this time. We're hoping that after Christmas, we might be able to bring some of those ideas that we'd had to the forefront. And similar with Irish Rugby, obviously that's a little bit more kind of in targeted areas. So we're hoping to activate perhaps at matches in person for the Six Nations, IRFU and God willing.
So here's the conversation in full. We hope you enjoy it. And remember, you can catch up with all of the interesting news around the commercial world of Irish sport twice a day, every day on sportforbusiness.com. Hello and welcome to Sport for Business, where we are joined today by Lorna Danaher. She is the sponsorship manager with Energia, the power behind rugby. And you're very welcome to Sport for Business, Lorna.
Thank you so much, Rob. Really nice to be chatting to you today.
We want to talk about being a sponsor, being a marketeer over the last couple of years. But just to take us back to the beginning, what was it that first motivated the desire to get involved with Irish Rugby?
So Energy is relatively new to the Irish energy market, and from pretty early on, they understood the value of sponsorship in building up trust and brand affinity within the marketplace. So I think it was around 2017 that Energia kind of dabbled in rugby, so to speak, and were involved with the Pro 14. And the results of that were really encouraging, and it kind of inspired the business that this could be a really valuable route to go down. So the following year, an opportunity arose with Leinster Rugby to become partners, the power behind Leinster Rugby, and title sponsors of Energia Park. So that went ahead, and again, very encouraging results, a lot of optimism within the company and support for it. And then an opportunity arose to become partners with the Irish Rugby team and to become title sponsors of the now Energia AIL. So it was just basically kind of progression along the way, and every step was working for us. So there was no reason to not go to the next level. And it's reaped great rewards. I think we're definitely solidified as a member of the rugby partner community now.
Very much so. Is the motivation, was that really important in terms of just creating an awareness of the fact that Energia was in the market, or was it always about the kind of the loyalty and the rewards which you can actually give to customers as a part of it as well?
Absolutely, and that's always a value. And also to staff internally, Energia are really focused on kind of internal payback to employees. And I think every step had kind of different reasoning behind it. Leinster is obviously massive within the province of Leinster, as the name suggests. Energia Park, previously Donnybrook Stadium, is very well known across the country. And then with Irish Rugby, it was really a statement of Energia are a big company, we're here to stay, and we're Irish and supporting our national team. And then obviously as well, the AIL came along with the partnership of Irish Rugby, which was a very important part of the decision around that partnership. The AIL hadn't had a sponsor for a year. And so we really wanted to take the opportunity to come in and sponsor what we saw as, it's 60 teams now that are in the AIL, and to be part of all those communities, because Energia doesn't have a physical footprint. So being a part of communities and really injecting ourselves in the conversations that happen in those communities was a large part of the thinking behind that as well.
And it was really important. We've got a particular goal for the equal promotion of women in sport, and
absolutely
bringing the women's AIL as part of that deal was really important. What have been a couple of your own personal highlights, because it's been some journey. You're absolutely right. You've gone from the foothills to the top of the mountain, really, in relation to the connection with sport. But along the way, what are some of the things that stand out in your mind as being highlights?
There's been a lot, to be honest. Like, we've done some really amazing pieces of content. We did a piece with the Leinster women's rugby team. It happened early in 2020 and was released then during the summer, where we got to kind of take a bit of a behind the scenes look at the dedication that it takes from the Leinster women's rugby team. And we followed their manager at the time, who was actually pretty much 9 months pregnant and still going. So that was a great project to be a part of. And then most recently, the massive one that we undertook was Energia AL, 30-year rugby legacy, which actually just aired on TG Cahir on Sunday night. So that project was absolutely amazing to be a part of. It had kind of always been in our minds since the day that I kind of started working in Energia, which is around the time of the Irish Rugby partnership being announced, that we really wanted to do a showcase piece of content to look at the AIL and what makes it so special and what's made it endure 30 years of trials and tribulations and a very much like a changing rugby landscape. And I think this year offered the absolute perfect opportunity, because look, like the league was cancelled halfway through the season in our first season. We never really got to finish that off, and then it didn't happen the last season. And you know, there was attempts with an Energia community series, which was also brilliant, but again, certain things that got in the way. But this season we really wanted to make a statement, and because last season should have technically been the 30th season, it kind of gave us a perfect opportunity that, you know, in normal times we probably would have done a big event, but this time we decided to take a look and go around and speak to a lot of the different people in the different clubs. And we've literally been working on that since January, and to see it go live and go on TV and to see the reaction from the clubs has definitely been a highlight of my time in Energy, and probably in all time of my career. It was really amazing to be a part of.
It was a special program, and sport is great at building that heritage so that it's timeless. It carries you back in time and then right up to the present as well. So nice that it should have been airing there, and of course TG are great supporters as well. So
yeah,
it was a nice rounded piece. I love the way that you said that you know, that the last couple of years were a perfect opportunity to actually get that project up and running. Yeah. Far from a perfect opportunity, though, in terms of the overall marketing push. How challenging has it been that, you know, the sport has been on ice, the stadium has been locked for longer periods than we could ever have imagined? How has that been from your point of view, with being the person with the company brand over the door, so to speak?
God, yeah, it's been very challenging, and now we are very lucky that, you know, we've had very open conversations with all of our partners, and it's been great in terms of it. The last years, I think, have been the epitome of the best laid plans go to waste. Like, we've had so many things that we've been building up to, and even in like just the last couple of months that we had fully kind of scoped out activations planned, and just you can't take the risk. But you know, like, yeah, we've had opportunities to do different things, and we've just had to be, you know, proactive where we can in terms of planning, because, you know, you have to have a plan when you sit down at the beginning of the year, but also be very aware that that plan might not go to plan, and you have to be able to kind of scramble. And it's definitely been great. I think we've all kind of loosened up in terms of knowing that, you know, we can make things work where we need to, and working with the guys in Leinster and the IRF have been brilliant, and they've been very, you know, reasonable in allowing us to make very last minute changes and asks. But obviously safety comes first when it comes to players, public, everything. It's definitely, I think, reshaped the way that we look at certain types of activations. Like, you know, in person would have always been a massive part of the way we would have activated a lot of our campaigns, but that just hasn't been possible. And you know, even sort of like virtual events and stuff, as great as they were maybe at the beginning of lockdown, I think they're a bit lackluster now, and people aren't as keen to sign up for online panels. So I think it's just creating and providing content that's definitely of value, and having to really think those pieces of content or those types of activation through have been at the core of all of our discussions in recent months, weeks.
It probably has. I mean, it's changed the way that all of us operate. But from the point of view of being an energy provider, you're providing a virtual service anyway. So maybe the in-person, it's not something that you can touch and feel and, you know, and really wrap yourself around. It's, you know, so maybe there is something in that. I love the idea that you have got these three very distinct properties within the one sport, so that you've got the overall rugby partnership, you've got the league, and you've got the venue and the stadium. In terms of your own team experience and, you know, and how you're planning for, let's call it, more normal environment over the course of the next 6 months, how do you split your time across those three separate areas?
So it's kind of funny. Obviously, the AIL season runs from kind of September to May, so that's an always-on approach. Now, this piece of work that we've done is a very significant piece of work, so that would have been the main piece that we would have done for this year. In previous times, partners of the IRFU and ourselves in the first year would have done a content capture day where we would have created a bank of imagery, and we really chose at the beginning of our partnership to level up what that imagery and the league's identity looked like. So we kind of had plans for that, but we couldn't be asking players from all over the country to be coming to one central location when we had hoped to. So the documentary kind of worked because we got to go to them, and you know, we shot with COVID safety in mind and followed procedures. So that's, you know, the AIL always on. Leinster then as well, we're, you know, with them throughout the season. Again, some of our activation plans haven't gone our way this time. We're hoping that after Christmas, we might be able to bring some of those ideas that we'd had to the forefront. And similar with Irish Rugby, obviously that's a little bit more kind of in targeted areas. So we're hoping to activate perhaps at matches in person for the Six Nations, you know, IRFU and God willing. So that would be the plan around there. We're also looking at kind of different territories to explore after Christmas, and an umbrella that would bring the three partnerships. Obviously, we have the power behind Irish Rugby and Leinster and the AIL, but we're looking at some other umbrellas that we as an energy company can potentially tie everything in together with. And we are also adding to our rugby list, and we are sponsoring the Energia Sevens and Tag Tournament, which will be happening in Energia Park on June Bank Holiday weekend. Early bird tickets go on sale soon. But so that's just another thing to add to our long list for the season. And we have 2 new ambassadors who we will be announcing in January as well. So lots going on.
Okay, I was going to ask you what we can look forward to over the course of the next season, but you've given a pretty good rundown on those as well. Are the ambassadors coming out of the national team, or are they coming out of the league?
Couldn't possibly say. It'll be a big exclusive for you now, Rob, in January.
Okay, I'll hold that space in January to do it. I know that you work with Legacy Communications in relation to the 30-year anniversary. How has it been working with the other agencies that you obviously rely on for some of the creativity, and you know, there are other moving parts that come into the equation of trying to do something on quite unsteady ground at times. What's that been like working with other teams?
Brilliant. So it's myself and then Legacy and 10th Man. So 10th Man are our kind of content creation agency. They can do anything at a very last minute notice. They're brilliant in that regard. So in particular with this project over the last period, we kind of broke it down that myself and Legacy would do a lot of the interviewing and kind of pre-creative development around, you know, what story can we tell. Initially, it was just going to be a few 4-minute pieces of content for social, and then as we started talking to people, we were like, okay, we've got way too much here. It wouldn't do it justice to do it in that scale. So we had gone to 10th Man with the idea, and they kind of pulled all of our mental kind of mumble jumble that was on a piece of paper, and they put it into this amazing narrative and storyline. And that's what we went to TG Caher with, that they got on board with, which was amazing. But they're brilliant. Like, there's been so many things over the last year that it's like, okay, that can't happen tomorrow. We're going to have to push that back. When can we do it? And they're just not a problem to them. And Legacy equally, like pushing press releases, pulling them up, being able to just be really reactive and, you know, hop on a phone call at any point in time. They've just been absolutely amazing. And definitely teamwork makes the dream work kind of thing. And while they are obviously external agencies, I think we all speak to each other as much as we would to any of our internal colleagues. So it's brilliant. And Legacy and 10th Man also work amazingly together to make sure that everything goes absolutely seamlessly. So yeah, it's been an amazing bonding experience over the last year.
Very good. All in a virtual capacity, but there you go.
Absolutely, yeah.
Things will be getting back to normal, but the documentary as well, you have broken it down though, haven't you, into social segments as well.
Yeah.
What's the schedule for the release of those?
So it's every Sunday night at 7 p.m. the episodes come out. As you mentioned, we have broken them down episodically because that was the only way that we could kind of put all of our storylines that we've gotten from all these amazing people who contributed their time and their voices to the project into kind of 4 different categories. So the first one, which was released on Sunday and is live on our YouTube channel, is called Energia AL in the beginning. And we spoke to a lot of people who were around in the 90s, relaying what it was like back then in contrast to now, back before the provinces were professional. So obviously there was 20,000-30,000 people turning up at AAL games. But it was also important for us that it wasn't just, you know, a history lesson, that it's also everyone's individual story and in the beginning of their experience of the league. So there's some people who were in the noughties as well, and a little bit later on how they got involved and why they've stayed involved to the capacities that they have. Then the second episode is the power of community. So this is the kind of dedication to the people behind the scenes, the volunteers, all the people who do the social posts, who turn up and make the match day programs, who do the newsletters, who bring some of the elderly community to games that wouldn't be able to go otherwise. There's just amazing people involved. And then the third episode is Heroes of the League, which again can be people who were on the pitch, off the pitch. That was where we saw the amazing interview with Keith Earls, who was telling us about his fun times with his dad when they got in a couple of scraps in games. And then the fourth episode is a look to the future. So we were really kindly joined by Collie O'Shea and Amanda from the IRFU, who were able to put some insight into where the IRFU's kind of view for the league is, and also spoke to other people who were, you know, people from Railway Union in the women's division who were building towards that, and then people from the variety of other clubs and where they really see the potential for the league to maybe not get back to where it was in the early 90s, but, you know, to really get the quality of the product out there and publicize that. So we took all that on board, and that's also going into our planning for next year.
Learning from the past in order to make the future better couldn't really be better than that. Well, it has been a pleasure chatting to you, Lorna, a graduate or an alumni of our 30 under 30. Great to see you executing these plans to really good impact, and really looking forward to 2022 when we get to see some of those coming into to practice. So thanks very much for taking the time with us today, Lorna Danaher from Energia.
Thanks so much.